hey guys, how's it going? I just want to come to you real quickly. I want to keep this video under 5 minutes, so I'm going to go fast. And remember, subscribe to this channel, and if you find this helpful, I would appreciate a share. I'm not on Facebook, but you might be and probably are, so I'd appreciate a share. Get this word out to everyone. We're going to talk about the sufficiency of Scripture. That's very, very important. So jump in with me to 2 Timothy 3:16 and verse 17. It says, "All Scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness, that the man of God may be complete, equipped for every good work." Notice, all Scripture. That's where we get our doctrine of verbal plenary inspiration. It's verbal, word, plenary, every or all. Every word is breathed out by God, and you see that explicitly given to us in verse 16 here in 2 Timothy 3:16. All Scripture is breathed out by God and profitable. Some translations would render it advantageous for teaching. That's a qualification of the elder, and Paul is talking to his underling here, Timothy, who is an elder. And he's saying, not only must you be able to teach, Timothy, but you derive your teaching from the Scriptures. Scripture is advantageous for those who would like to teach the truth. For reproof, for correction. So rebuke is not out of the question for Christians. And sometimes rebuke is uncomfortable. Sometimes it's not desirable, but it's necessary in the Christian life in this world where sin is so common. And for training in righteousness. Now listen to this, verse 17. That the man of God may be complete, equipped for every good work. In other words, it's the Scriptures which are sufficient to teach us what every good work is. And the Reformers would say, the framers of the Lebanon Baptist Confession of Faith, 1689, would say that it teaches by virtue of explicit reference, that's explicit revelation. Think about Exodus 20, the 10 Commandments, those are explicit, or good and necessary consequence or inference, which would be like inference from scriptural data, necessary inference. I'm not just talking about opinions, but I'm talking about necessary conclusions drawn from the scriptural data. Conclusions that cannot, things that cannot not be concluded from what the Scriptures say. And you might think about the doctrine of the Trinity, the doctrine of the Incarnation. These are doctrines that are not exhaustively systematized for us in Scripture, but nevertheless, the Scripture that we have necessitates those doctrines, and that's part of the work of systematic theology. And why do I bring this up, brothers and sisters? I bring this up because since Scripture is sufficient, that means it's enough. And to say that we need to use tools that the Scriptures do not prescribe, either explicitly or necessarily, is to say that the Scriptures are not enough. Remember, if the Scriptures are enough, then to add to them, or to say there needs to be extra tools that the Christians should use for their faith and life, or for their practice that's not revealed in the Scriptures, we're saying that the Scriptures are not enough. That there is some tool out there that we need to engage that the Scriptures do not either expressly or necessarily lay down for us. And that is problematic, brothers and sisters. And so to use an example, Resolution 9 with the Southern Baptist Convention, critical race theory, intersectionality, it was said that these things are useful tools for the Christian life. But, brothers and sisters, if they are not good works taught in Scripture, then they shouldn't be taught. If the Scripture doesn't teach it as a good work, then we shouldn't be saying that it is a good work, and we shouldn't be saying that it is useful for Christians to engage in the Christian life. Well, that's about 5 minutes. The Scriptures are sufficient. To add to them is to say they're not sufficient. And to take away from them is to also say they're not sufficient. We need to understand that firstly and foremostly. The sufficiency of Scripture is what's at stake here, and a proper understanding will help us in many, many different ways, especially in terms of responding to this present catastrophe of the inroads which liberalism is again making in evangelicalism. Anyways, God bless, guys. Have a good evening.